Show you the parts that I'm kind of changing, or the fluids. Let me just spin this camera around. It's premium full synthetic 0W40 Ryco filter, the Syntec. These are actually the let me see if I can get this out one-handed. These are the, how's that? The black filters. Syntec, they're kind of like a premium filter versus the standard Ryco. Standard Ryco, I think, filters down to 35 micron, whereas the Syntecs are down to 20 micron, so there are, you know, a lot better filtration. Diff oil there, you can see ADW140, that's for the Dana 60, the rear end of the TRX. And then, what do we got? 75 W85 for the front diff. And then for the transfer case, I have been using the Mobil fluid 428. Also got a another K&N. I've changed the intake on my RAM. I've got the big K&N filter here. These things are, as you can see, probably about 1/2 metre tall. So I've got one in there at the moment. I always tend to carry two because, you know, you can just change it quickly, plug and play, so to speak, and then you can, they are reusable, you can clean them at your leisure. And, you know, if you use the solvent to clean it, it does take a couple of hours to clean it and then retreat it in time for it to dry. So, three of the 4 bash plates from the TRX removed. You don't have to remove them all. I like to, just to have a look underneath. Probably see the various bolts there. I've used a paint pen previously just to mark which ones go where. Makes it a bit easier, especially when I'm changing oil out in the bush. This is a bit of a luxury at the moment, having it on the hoist. Normally I'm kind of on my back in the dirt doing it. Anyway, here's the front guard removed. Now for the oil change on the TRX, it's got this oil cooler, and there's a plug here which I've marked. So when you do the oil change, normal kind of oil change procedure, you know, dump or pull the plug in the sump, which is that one there, pull that. There is a hole through the guard that's normally there, and then drain the oil from the engine, from the sump. It's just about finished draining. It's only a drip, but I'll let it go. I always like to remove the spent filter and drain the oil cooler with everything open. Then if there's any kind of vapour locks, everything will leak out. So I've got that just dripping into a tray. Let me see if I can focus this. There you go. So that's the sump dripping into that yellow plastic tray. Then I've got my oil drainer kind of positioned up under the filter. Don't know if you can see that. There's the filter. And I normally put a plastic bag over the steering rack boot, because it's kind of, the rubber boot's convoluted it, just traps the oil. So I'll now remove the oil filter. Okay, might put this camera down or else we're going to get covered in oil. Continuous trickle, it's you know, stop dripping, it's actually a stream. Oil cooler, that's actually, looks like it's stopped now. But what I do now, that noise coming through the door. Before refilling the engine, I measure out 2 lots of 3.5 litres. TRX takes about actually 7.1 litres for a fill. So I've measured out 3.5 litres, and then, what's that, probably about 300 mil. I've pre-filled the oil filter, kind of old school. I'd rather, you know, start it and get oil pressure up as, you know, basically as soon as you can. So pre-filling it, you know, does help. It's probably only milliseconds, but at least the engine's not running without oil pressure for too long. Buttoned up the oil cooler, put the new oil filter in and put the plug back in the sump, so we're good to refill the oil. Next on the list I want to do is the front diff. But before I do that, I just wanted to touch on the oil filter. As I think I mentioned earlier, I use the Ryco Syntec oil filters. They're the black ones versus the standard grey ones. They do filter, you know, to a better level. They're down to 20 micron particle size, whereas the standard ones I think were 35. But yeah, something else I just wanted to mention. If you go onto the Ryco app for the RAM TRX, it does list a Z663 filter, which is a skinnier filter. And I spoke to the Ryco technical engineer line, and they said that you can use the Z516 ST, which is the one that I use. And let me just see, I think I've got the, yeah, these are a couple that I cut open early days, but you can see the physical size. The Z516 is, I don't know, it's not double the volume, but it is quite a bit bigger than the standard RAM one, which is the equivalent of the Z663. So it does fit in there. It's a little bit tight. The clearance between the bottom of the filter and the steering rack's probably only about 1/4 inch, but as I say, this will be the third Z516 that I've put on my TRX. Prior to that I was using the 663 and of course the factory one that originally came with it. But yeah, you know, bigger filter, more filter media, so to me it's worthwhile going that route, and it's a lot easier to grab with your hands too than the skinny ones. When I initially drained it, the factory fill, to tell you the truth, it was pretty good. It was, you know, couldn't see any debris in there. It was the honey coloured, I should say, nice and clear. But anyway, I just wanted to stick some Penrite in there. So yeah, I'll drain this down into a glass beaker and we can have a look at that. But for those that haven't done the front diff oil change and the TRX, the drain plug is the bottom one there, obviously, 8mm, and then the fill plug, once again, is an 8mm plug up there. So normal kind of procedure when you're doing diffs. Loosen the fill plug first. Nothing worse than if you were to drain it and then you couldn't get the fill plug undone or whatever problem, you'd be in a world of pain. So anyway, without further ado, I'll drain this and I'll show you the results. Draining the front diff. I've got it in a jar here. It does look pretty good actually. You can see through it. Dark in colour, a bit deceiving, but I'll take it out in the light and we'll have a look at it. Here's the front diff oil. You can't actually see through it, but draining it, it does look pretty good. The drain plug, I don't know if you can see that, it is magnetic, but you know, there's basically nothing on it. So I'm happy with that. I'll recharge it with some fresh gear oil, and I think this time I'll go back to the owner's manual and see what the frequency is. I mean, I've done it at say 25,000 Ks, and obviously today at 47, so say 50,000, so I don't think we have to be that frequent with the changes with it. Here's the replacement front diff fluid, 75W85. I've just pumped a little bit into the diff. You can see in the tube it's pretty well transparent, bit of an amber tinge, and there's the stuff we've removed. And looking at the volume, roughly about 1.15 litres. Anyway, the front diff, you can't really access the fill plug from above, so hence a little pump for this. So I'll go through now and just fill it till it overflows, and then put the plug in, and then we're good to go. Rear diff's a Dana 60, as you can see. This is the fill plug, and then the drain plug is actually on the side. Let's see if I get this camera right. I don't know if you can see that there. It's a like a 8th drive plug for the drain, and then a 3/8 drive for the fill plug. Anyway, I'll see if I can do this one-handed. Let me just... Okay, we've got it loose. Always take the fill plug out first, just to ensure that you can, or once you drain it, that you can actually refill it. Okay, looking a little bit over full there. Maybe because it's hanging down a bit. See if I can pull this drain plug out one-handed and hold the... I'm just keen to kind of measure the volume that I'll get out of it. I've got the fill plug still dribbling into the drain pan below. Okay, here goes. Don't know if you can see the colour there, but that actually looks really good. As I say, I changed this diff oil approximately 20,000 Ks ago, and out of that 20,000 Ks we have towed for approximately 14 to 15,000 Ks. So I don't know if you can see that, but the oil looks actually really good. And I'll just put that down. Not sure if you can see the drain plug here. Just kind of wisping out, still nice and clear, the old diff oil. I've cleaned both the plugs as well as the drain plug. Anyway, they had a smear of fines, probably just like a bit of grease almost smeared on either end, so I've just cleaned that with a bit of degreaser. I'll clean the threads where... I'll just wipe them off actually, but we'll be using that in a minute to fill. I'll put this bottom drain plug in, and then we can start filling it. Last time I did it, it used approximately 2.3 litres, so I'll put a rough mark on this container and just see what it does use, but it shouldn't be much more. Okay, back after pumping for whatever seemed like thousands of strokes. Yeah, the diff's just starting to overflow now. What I will do before I'll put the plug in just finger tight, but I'll get the car off the hoist, and that should lift the diff up to more of a level pinion angle, and then I'll just re-top it up off the floor, because as you saw when I started draining it, or when I removed the fill plug initially there, it did seem to pour out quite a bit. Anyway, that's the diff done. Next we'll move on to the transfer case. Having a look up at the trans and transfer case. You can see the back of the trans there, and then I'll just get this camera right. Here's the transfer case. That's the actual fill plug or bung, and then where's this camera? There's the drain bung in the bottom of the transfer case. So as before when we did the front diff and the engine oil, there's one more bash plate that's left here. I've removed the front bolts when I took the other bash plates off in the front, but I'll pull this one off as well. Once again, kind of 16mm bolts that secure it. These are quite heavy. You can see a free traveller there, or a stone. Anyway, we'll get the bash plate off, and then we can proceed to drain the transfer case oil and fill it. And I just noticed, actually, I don't know if you can see that, it does say fill, and then I'm guessing the drain is marked as well, which it is actually. I'll show you that once I remove this bash plate. Anyway, not too bad a clash with the exhaust from the left bank there. There's enough room to get a ratchet in. Both of these are 3/8 drive to get them out. I have got the aftermarket exhaust too on this. This is like a pacemaker extractors and twin 3-inch system. Anyway, we'll go forward and remove the fill plug, and then remove the drain plug and have a look at the quality of the fluid here. Okay, just remove the fill plug. Must be just running downhill a little bit, the transfer case, a little bit dripping out. Now we'll remove the drain plug and have a look at it, but just looking at that fluid there, it looks quite good. Okay, a little bit hard to do everything one-handed, but remove the drain plug, and you can't really tell, but the fluid looks fantastic. It's clear, honey-coloured, can't even see any metallic sheen, and the both plugs, I'm not sure if the top one's magnetic or not, but both looks really good. Anyway, we'll let this drain, then put the plugs back in and top it up. Last time it was just under 2 litres to fill. Okay guys, that's the RAM TRX. Engine oil change, front and rear diffs and transfer case. Also did the air intake filter, drained the catch can. Anyway, that's its 47,500k service completed. All looks good. Took it for a test drive, all running well. So please like and subscribe. If you've got any comments, shoot them to me and I'll endeavour to reply to those. And yeah, Friday evening, about beer o'clock. Enjoy your weekend and we'll see you next time. Thanks folks.